Have you ever walked into your garden and thought, something just doesn't look right? The leaves look tired, the flowers won't bloom, and no matter how much you water or feed them, nothing changes. Here's a secret most gardeners never realize. Your plants might be getting too much shade. That's right. Too little sunlight can quietly choke the life out of your favorite plants, turning a once vibrant garden into a dull patch of green. Welcome to Golden Year's Lifestyle Hub, where we make gardening simple, joyful, and rewarding, especially for senior gardeners across the U.S. If you love nurturing life from the soil and watching your plants thrive, you're in the right place. So before you blame your soil or your watering routine, stay tuned, because in this video, you'll discover the 10 clear warning signs your plants are getting too much shade and how a few small changes can bring your garden back to full bloom. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another easy gardening tip that keeps your plants and you growing strong. Number 1, slow or stunted growth. When your plants seem frozen in time, barely growing or not growing at all, that's one of the first red flags that they're getting too much shade. Without enough sunlight, plants can't produce the energy they need through photosynthesis. You might notice that the new leaves stay small, stems remain short, and there's little to no visible progress week after week. In many U.S. gardens, especially those surrounded by tall fences, sheds, or big leafy trees, plants like tomatoes, peppers, or basil can easily fall behind when sunlight is blocked for most of the day. It's easy to confuse slow growth with poor soil or a lack of fertilizer. But in reality, light is the true engine of plant health. Try observing how long direct sunlight hits your garden each day. Most flowering and fruiting plants need 6 to 8 hours of it. If they're sitting in constant shade, even rich soil won't help. Move your pots to a brighter location or trim nearby branches, and you'll be amazed how quickly your plants perk up and start producing new growth again. Number 2, leggy or stretching stems. When your plants start growing tall, thin, and weak instead of full and sturdy, that's their way of begging for sunlight. This stretched out look, called leggy growth, happens because the plant is desperately reaching toward the nearest source of light, whether that's a sunny window, the edge of a flower bed, or a gap between trees. In shaded gardens, you'll often see long bare stems with leaves clustered only at the top. This makes the plant fragile, unable to support itself, and more likely to bend or snap under its own weight. If you notice your plants growing like this, they're not thriving, they're surviving. To help them, rotate pots every few days or relocate them to an area that gets morning or midday sun. For outdoor gardeners, trimming overhanging branches or using reflective surfaces like light-colored walls can bounce sunlight back onto your plants. Within a few weeks, new growth will start to look thicker, stronger, and more balanced. Number 3, fewer or no flowers. When your once colorful garden suddenly stops blooming, it's often because there's just not enough light to trigger flower production. Plants use sunlight to build the energy needed for blossoms, and without it, they'll focus on staying alive instead of creating blooms. You might still see plenty of leaves, but no buds forming at all. This is especially common in U.S. summer gardens where nearby trees grow dense canopies that block sunlight by mid-season. To fix this, ensure your flowering plants, like roses, zinnias, marigolds, or geraniums, get at least 6 hours of direct sunlight daily. If they're in containers, move them to sunnier spots that catch the morning sun, but avoid the harsh afternoon heat in southern states. With enough light, your flowers will return stronger, more vibrant, and more fragrant than before. Number 4, pale or yellowing leaves. If your plant's leaves are losing their rich green color and turning pale or yellow, it may not be a nutrient problem. It could be a light problem. Sunlight fuels chlorophyll production, the green pigment that helps plants make food. Without enough of it, chlorophyll breaks down and the leaves fade. This often happens in shaded corners of patios, beneath thick tree cover, or on the north side of homes in cooler U.S. climates. When you see yellowing leaves, resist the urge to add fertilizer right away. Instead, check how much direct sunlight your plant is receiving. A simple test is to watch how long shadows fall in that area during the day. If your plant is shaded for most of it, try moving it into partial or full sun. Within a couple of weeks, new leaves will start to emerge greener and healthier, proving light was the missing ingredient all along. Number 5. Droopy or limp foliage. Plants that don't get enough sunlight often appear tired and droopy, even when the soil is perfectly moist. This happens because light helps strengthen stems and maintain water balance within the plant. In too much shade, stems become weak and soft, unable to support the leaves' weight. The result is limp foliage that looks wilted or lifeless, no matter how often you water. You'll often see this with shade-stressed container plants sitting on porches, under trees, or beside tall garden walls. The solution is simple. Give them a little sunshine therapy. Move the pots to a brighter area where they can get filtered morning light and some afternoon brightness. Within a short time, you'll see those once droopy leaves standing tall again, signaling that your plant finally has the energy it needs to thrive. Number 6. Soil that stays damp for too long. When your soil feels constantly wet or takes days to dry out, it's a major sign your plants are getting too much shade. In darker, cooler spots, water doesn't evaporate as quickly as it should. This means your plant's roots are sitting in moisture far longer than they're built to handle. Over time, that dampness can suffocate the roots, cause oxygen starvation, and invite harmful fungi and bacteria to move in. You might even notice a sour smell or a slimy texture when you touch the soil, both warning signs that the roots are starting to rot. This problem is especially common in shaded corners of a yard or under trees where rainfall and watering combine, but sunlight can't reach to dry things out. To fix it, let the soil dry out completely before watering again, and if possible, move the plant to a location that gets at least a few hours of sunlight daily. For large garden beds, you can mix in perlite or sand to improve drainage. Once your plants get better airflow and a bit more light, their roots will start to breathe again, and you'll see stronger, healthier growth in no time. Number 7. Moss or algae on the soil surface. If you notice green moss or slimy algae growing across the top of your potting soil or garden bed, that's a clear sign your plants are living in too much shade. Moss thrives in dark, moist environments where sunlight can't dry the surface. While it may look harmless, it actually signals that the soil stays damp for far too long, something your sun-loving plants can't tolerate. Moss can also compete for moisture and create a barrier that makes it harder for air to reach the roots. This happens most often in shady yards with thick tree canopies or in containers sitting under covered patios where rain and humidity combine. To fix the problem, gently scrape off the moss or algae, improve airflow around your plants, and move them to an area that receives more consistent sunlight. You can also loosen the top layer of soil to help it dry faster. Once your plants get the right balance of light and air, that green film will disappear and your soil will stay healthier. Number 8. Plants leaning or tilting toward light. When your plants begin leaning to one side or bending toward the direction of sunlight, it's their natural survival instinct at work. They're trying to reach for whatever light they can get, stretching unevenly and creating an unbalanced look. This often happens in north-facing gardens or on shaded patios where only one side gets light for part of the day. Over time, the plant can become lopsided, with weaker growth on the shaded side and strong stems on the sunny one. To correct this, start by rotating your pots every few days so all sides of the plant receive equal sunlight. For plants in the ground, consider trimming back overhanging branches or repositioning reflective objects like white walls or light-colored stones to bounce more light into darker corners. You'll notice within a few weeks that your plants begin standing straighter and growing evenly again, a sure sign they're finally getting the light they've been craving. Number 9. Fungal issues or powdery mildew. If you start seeing white powdery patches, dark spots, or fuzzy mold on your leaves, it's often because your plants are trapped in too much shade. Lack of sunlight means less air movement and slower drying after watering or rainfall. That damp, still environment becomes a perfect breeding ground for fungal diseases like powdery mildew, leaf spot, or black mold. It's especially common in humid U.S. regions or shaded areas where plants stay wet for long hours after morning dew. Over time, the leaves weaken, curl, and drop prematurely, leaving your plants looking sickly and bare. To fix it, start by improving light exposure and airflow. Trim back nearby shrubs or tree limbs to let more sunlight reach the plant and dry the leaves naturally. Water early in the morning so moisture can evaporate through the day and avoid wetting the foliage. A little extra sunlight and circulation can do wonders. Most mild fungal problems will fade once your garden gets brighter, drier, and more balanced light. Number 10. Fading color or weak fragrance. If your flowers are losing their brilliant color or your herbs no longer smell as strong, your garden is likely getting too much shade. Sunlight brings out pigments in petals and leaves, giving them their deep reds, purples, and greens. It also helps herbs like lavender, basil, and mint produce the essential oils responsible for their fragrance and flavor. Without enough light, these compounds weaken, and what was once vibrant and aromatic becomes dull and faint. This issue is common in shaded flower beds along fences or under large trees where sunlight barely filters through. To restore their beauty, move your plants to a brighter spot where they can soak up at least a few hours of direct morning sun. You'll quickly notice colors returning and scents growing stronger again. When your garden starts smelling fresh and looking lively, you'll know your plants are finally basking in the right amount of light. So there you have it, 10 clear warning signs that your plants are getting too much shade. The good news is most of these problems are easy to fix once you know what to look for. A little more light, a bit of pruning, or simply moving a pot to a sunnier spot can completely transform your garden. Remember, sunlight is the heartbeat of healthy growth. It powers every leaf, every bloom, and every breath your garden takes. Whether you're tending to a cozy patio in Oregon or a bright backyard in Florida, understanding your plant's light needs can mean the difference between a struggling garden and one that bursts with life. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up and share it with a fellow gardener who might be wondering why their plants aren't thriving. Don't forget to subscribe to Golden Years Lifestyle Hub for more simple, senior-friendly gardening tips that keep your plants healthy and your days full of joy. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another helpful guide. And remember, a brighter garden starts with just a little more sunshine.